Hello and welcome to the PI Filmmaker podcast. Now, this week I'm going to be catching up and going back to some topics that I've discussed previously, based on things that have happened since those episodes. I've had a few responses to last week's episode on guerrilla filmmaking, so thanks to the listeners for sending me their thoughts and their ideas. To clarify again, guerrilla filmmaking isn't about breaking rules for the sake of it, but it does provide a way for you to get scenes that you wouldn't be able to do without working in a guerrilla fashion. Around about 13 years ago, I made this film called Round in Circles, this short film. I'm really proud of that film. It's all kind of done through visual storytelling, and it contrasts the present with the past. So there's this character who's kind of having like an existential crisis about where they are in life and feeling stuck and isolated, and we contrast that with memories from the past. And the film sort of builds to this moment in which this character's pushing their pram for their baby around the Christmas markets in Manchester, and that film was all that section was all shot in a guerrilla fashion. Me and the actor, and obviously the pram with the baby, went onto the markets in Manchester, and we just created these moments of pretty much having a panic attack. So the film's a lot about mental health, and it builds towards this panic attack in which the character just flees from this atmosphere, surrounded by all these people, and walks to a bridge and then just kind of looks over the edge of the bridge. But what we did was we got all these shots of this person, the actor, walking around the Christmas markets, looking at families connected. And then at a later date, I just literally went with a zoom lens and just shot cutaways that then I cross-cut between my main character and then what they were looking at. So there's these people laughing, smiling, families. And that was a really effective one that I forgot to discuss last week. But I'm really proud of that film and the guerrilla nature of that final sequence. So anyway, some people responded about some of their knowledge of guerrilla filmmaking. I had one listener who talked about a David Niven film from way back in the day, Around the World in 80 Days, 1956. And they screenshot the story from Google and sent it to me. So, David Niven, famously recounted how producer Mike Todd filmed the opening sequence of Around the World in 80 Days in London using a massive Todd AO camera hidden inside a street vendor's vegetable stall / cart. So, because it was highly illegal to shut down and film on those active London streets without extensive permits, Mike Todd resorted to classic guerrilla filmmaking. David Niven detailed this chaotic production in his acclaimed autobiographies, The Moon's a Balloon and Bring on the Empty Horses. So, the logistics of the stunt. The crew wanted to capture authentic footage of posh Victorians on Rotten Row in Hyde Park and the historic parade of the Scots Guard at the Wellington Barracks. The problem, the British authorities and the military would never grant permission for a massive Hollywood production to disrupt the Guard's official parade or block London's busy streets. So, Mike Todd had a wooden street vendor's cart built and piled high with vegetables. He cut a secret peephole into the side of the cart and packed a massive heavy 70mm Todd AO camera completely inside it. Wow, 70mm as well. Interesting. I'm a couple of weeks now until I see The Odyssey on IMAX, and that's being projected on 70mm film. Super excited. Anyway, the crew wheeled the vegetable cart directly onto the active parade grounds. While the guards marched by, completely unaware that they were being recorded, the crew secretly cranked the hidden camera to pull off the ultimate cinematic heist. A close call with the law. In his retellings, David Niven delightfully noted that while the guerrilla camera crew was sweating bullets trying to look like normal street peddlers, London bobbies, police officers, actually walked right up to the cart. Rather than discovering the multi-$1,000 Hollywood camera hidden in the cabbage, the officers chatted with the crew and moved along, leaving the illegal footage perfectly intact. That's a great story. Thanks for making me aware of that one. It's crazy to think even on these huge films that sometimes a bit of guerrilla filmmaking is needed, and that's really quite inventive how they did that. And then another listener pointed me to a filmmaking manifesto. Now, they'd made me aware of this previously because I actually spoke to students about this particular filmmaking manifesto when I was teaching an independent filmmaking module. It's quite interesting. So I'm going to read it to you. So it's called the Lone Gun Manifesto. So, for the last 12 years, I've been banging my head against the wall, trying to figure out how to deal with the insanity of the movie industry, while at the same time exploring the equally insane world of micro-budget movie making. The problem is that neither system works. The industry becomes more and more obsessed with playing it safe, and the independents largely trying to imitate the work patterns of the industry, only with less money. For people like me, it's a nightmare, because what I want to do is make movies and have people watch them. And to do that without investing 3 years of my life and all of my money into a project, which then flounders around the ridiculous distribution system. Anyway, after many years of pondering the problems of funding, shooting, and distributing movies, I believe I have an answer. However, it means completely changing the way we think about movies. It's a production philosophy designed to let creative people make brilliant movies quickly, cheaply, and without exploiting the people who contribute to its making. Here are the headlines. 1. One DSLR camera, one person, one microphone. The Lone Gun shoots alone. 2. Strip movie making down to its basics. A camera, a great story, and some actors. 3. A lone gun never asks for permission to shoot at a location. 4. Put something original and honest in front of the camera. 5. Think like a photographer, not a filmmaker. 6. Money is for food, transport, and dedicated hard drive for each project and nothing else. Natural light only, number 7. 8. Everyone works on a movie, has the right to distribute that movie for free or for profit. 9. No credits before the title ever, regardless of how famous someone is. 10. The end product must be cinema quality, capable of projection to cinema sizes without falling apart. 11. A Creative Commons license for the movie. How open you go is up to you, but people must be able to share and alter it for free. 12. If you're going to be Guerrilla, you may as well wear the full monkey suit. Okay, so that was like a manifesto, and it goes on like to some suggestions of essential kit. 1. A good DSLR. 2. A portable digital audio recorder. 3. A microphone. Brackets, not the kind you're thinking about. The one I use costs $40. 4. A Zippo lighter. I believe further in the manifesto it says the Zippo lighters for giving you almost like a clapperboard, so you've got the flick of the light and the sound if the person's mic'd up. 5. A small beanbag. 6. A computer with some professional editing software on it. 7. Some actors. 8. A pocket-sized notebook. 9. A brilliant idea for a movie. 10. A script. 11. A dedicated hard drive. 12. An idea about how you're going to build an audience. And then finally it goes on. I have issues about working this way. It forces movie makers to give up a lot. However, the freedoms it gives in return to just work with a team of people quickly and creatively to make a movie more than pays off for any restrictions. And finally, if you know of anyone who would make an outstanding movie, if only they had this one piece of paper, then give it to them. Pass this on to the people you believe it will inspire. Thanks for reading this. Up the revolution. So that was the Lone Gun Manifesto. And I really like that manifesto, actually, and I think it highlights a number of things that I think about when I'm making films, how to work with minimal resources, minimal budget, and how to work effectively to tell your story. What's interesting about that one, though, is like the author of that manifesto, I'm not going to say the name, but more recently, like I've seen them on LinkedIn, and they've almost kind of redefined themselves as one of these sort of script gurus where you can go to them and have them consult on your script, almost like a creative consultant, to which they'll take a fee to help you make a more commercially viable script. Not sure how I feel about that. It feels like it's in direct conflict with some of the ideas in that manifesto, because independent filmmaking to me is not about doing what's expected and making necessarily a film that's commercially sound. Like nothing that's new is going to be commercially sound because there's nothing that's come before that highlights what this is going to be for an audience. So anyway, I just I always have issues with those kind of script consultants or script gurus. I always think, well, if you've got these answers and it's so easy to write this perfect script that Hollywood will want, why don't you go and do it? Like, go and make your millions. Go and be the next Christopher Nolan. Write this script that people are going to invest in. But no, it's always like, you see it with actors as well. Like these people who had minimal success. I don't know, they've had Walk on 3 on Emmerdale or something, and then they're selling acting classes like they've got the answer to get you a career in acting. I'm always just mindful of those people. It's like, it's tricky. I think I get people trying to make a living, but sometimes everyone's trying to sell like the formula when there isn't a formula really to anything artistic, and we'd be robbed of some of the great art if it was all just down to formulas. But anyway, that Lone Gun Filmmaking Manifesto, actually next week I might read another filmmaking manifesto, because there's a filmmaker called Ed Burns, and in the 90s he's also known as an actor, but in the mid 90s he wanted to make a feature, didn't have the resources, pulled together some money, made this film called The Brothers McMullen. It was really successful, but then as time went on, he made another film and it got hacked up by the studio. He had to change his film title and all these, so he made he made a filmmaking manifesto as well called, I think it was called McMullen 2.0, where he listed all the things that he would have to accept if he was to have creative freedom versus what he'd have to accept if he kind of bows down and follows the studio system. And it's a really great list, actually, thinking about, okay, if I do it my way, I've got less resources, but if I do it their way, I'm losing creative control. So I might read that out next week, because I've got that book on the shelf. What's it called? Independent Ed. One of the things I used to do on when I taught filmmaking was I'd have students write filmmaking manifestos when I was doing an independent filmmaking module. And I was always like, listen, this could be the anti-independent filmmaking manifesto. Like, having done this, I realised that this isn't for me. I want to use drones. I want to use cranes. I want to use all the gear. It's just about you defining what it is you're going to do on your journey towards a career in filmmaking. I think it's really important that people think about what it is they want to do with cinema. Is it that you want to work as an independent filmmaker? Is it that you want to go into weddings? Is it that you want to shoot TV commercials? And then try and follow that path. Like, a few years ago, I saw a student and they'd done an interview for an article, and they pretty much slagged off this filmmaking course. But the filmmaking course was around storytelling, around fiction filmmaking, short filmmaking. And they'd gone on to a career like doing live sports filming, like boxing, horse racing, and things like that. It's like, no, that's not the course's fault that you feel like it didn't prepare you for industry. Like, you should have done a live TV course. So I think it's important that students think about like what it is they specifically want to do. Don't go on to a short film course and then complain that it doesn't prepare you for filming horse racing or boxing or whatever it might be. They're not the same. Like, I've been to like job interviews years ago where it'll be like lecturer in filmmaking. You get there and they're talking about live TV studio filming. Like, GMTV is not the same as being the camera operator, camera person on Raging Bull. It just isn't. Like, one person cannot do the other. Like, they just don't. So like the way these things are taught sometimes as well, it's like I think there's all sorts of issues. But anyway, I'm kind of getting on my high horse a little bit. No pun intended. So, guerrilla filmmaking, yeah. So, go out, have a go. Someone responded to me and actually said like they really want to do a guerrilla film, having listened to the episode, and I think that's great. I never heard back from the person that I spoke about last week who was doing guerrilla filmmaking. They didn't respond to my Instagram DM, so I'm guessing that they either didn't get it, or they read it and thought no, or maybe they just thought like, why did I tell that story on the podcast? I don't know. I guess I never will. So anyway, yeah. I'm now gonna kind of go on to return to the film festival, that I spoke about a number of weeks ago. So, I'll just pull up my notes. The day I released that episode in which I discussed the festival director for the Manchester Film Festival crowdfunding a film through their community, later that day, I couldn't believe the timing, so I put out that podcast, 8 a.m. Later that day, they sent out an email from the Manchester Film Festival email address, and it went out to everyone who signed up to their newsletter. Now, if I sign up to a newsletter, I'm hoping for information about the festival, not about the festival director trying to crowdfund their film. So I think, again, the lines got blurred even further. And the email said, "Hi, I'm going to be directing my first short film this summer!" Exclamation point. It is a project that I'm really excited about, and after showcasing so many amazing shorts at the festival over the years, I'm also mildly terrified to be directing one myself now. Brackets, well, co-directing with, it looks like it says with AI, but it actually says Al. I'm pointing that out because it'll be important later. I'm really proud and passionate about the story and think it's going to be a really unique and beautiful short. Here is where I do the bit I find awkward and ask for your help. I'm running a Kickstarter to raise some of the funds for the film. I was to make sure everyone working on it... I'm running a Kickstarter to raise some of the funds for the film. I was to make sure everyone working on it gets compensated for their time and effort, and I really need help to make sure I can do this. Okay, so that wasn't me. It's just written strangely. I was to make sure. I think that's meant to be I want to make sure. I need your help to make sure I can do this. If you can support, I would really appreciate I'd appreciate it. Anything you can offer to back the project is amazing. More about the info short below. So there's a link to the Kickstarter, and then there's talk about the plot, who's written the music. I've launched the Kickstarter today to fund the production. The link is here. You can back us from as little as £10, and if you can't back it financially, share this email with one person. That matters just as much. Thank you. And then the name of the director. So first of all, I need your help to make sure I can do this. Well, that's not really true, is it? Like, I'm evidence that if you want to make films, you don't need people to fund your short film. You really don't. And as I've said previously, their goal for this was £8,000, with a stretch goal of £12,000. Now, I'll come back to that cost in a minute. And then later that same day, they sent out a second email, and it said, "Apology and correction. Hi, I just need to clarify something from the previous email. I'm not co-directing with AI, but I am co-directing, one word, with Alan, brackets, Al Bailey, a real-life human. AI will not be used in any way in the making of the film. I did generate 2 images to act as visual aids, but there will not be any further use of AI in the making of the film in any way. I think that's meant to be also, feels strongly about the use of AI in filmmaking, and we do not accept any films that have used AI or been made with AI at the Manchester Film Festival. Apologies again for any confusion. You received this message as you were on the mailing list for the Manchester Film Festival, and if you would like to unsubscribe, you can do below. Best director." I'm seeing these emails and I'm like, it just kind of, it reeks of unprofessionalism to me. I still have issues with the fact that they're asking their own audience to provide money for their film. I do think it's a massive conflict of interest. I really do. I think it's not right for you to be running a film festival and then asking that audience to pay for you to make a film. But I mean, I've discussed that previously, so let's skip to the further updates that then happened. So the film didn't meet its Kickstarter goal of £8,000. I guess that goes to show that you might have a large following, but you've got to be mindful of what those people are actually following for. They're not following a festival to help fund a director's dream project. They're following the festival for the festival. So, the Kickstarter. Sorry, I've got loads of notes on my phone. According to this, I screenshot the Kickstarter. They ended on £2,537. So they didn't meet the £8,000 goal, and there was 55 backers. So it says funding looks unsuccessful. I don't know what that means. I guess they get some of the money. Or do they? 1 second. Let's just check Kickstarter. 1 sec. Interesting. I don't know what that means. This isn't good. Let me just quickly type into Google. If you do not reach goal on Kickstarter, oh shit, according to AI, if your campaign doesn't reach its AI, look at me using AI. No, Google throws up the first AI response now. So, okay, let me go straight to the Kickstarter page. What happens if the final funding amount is lower than the goal? After a campaign has ended, it's not uncommon for some pledges to fail to collect. In these cases, we reach out to backers with reminders to fix their pledges. However, if a backer doesn't resolve their payment issues within 7 days of your project's deadline, their pledges will be dropped and they'll no longer be considered a backer of the project. Yeah, I don't know. So creators will still receive the balance of the collected funds, less fees, even if the final amount falls below your project's funding goal due to drop pledges. Okay, so it does look like they do get some money. So then, they didn't meet their goal, and then from a filmmaker then sent me a link to a video, and the video went something like this.
Hey everyone, quick update. So sadly we didn't hit our target on Kickstarter, but that's fine. We're at peace with that, and the film's going to get made anyway, no matter what happens. What it has sort of spurred me to do is create my own crowdfunding platform as part of the Manchester Film Festival. Part of using Kickstarter, I found a bit clunky. It's not specific for film. I know there are other platforms out there specific for film. The fees are often very high, so what I'm wanting to do with the platform on the Manchester Film Festival is reduce those fees for filmmakers and enable them to get that money much more quicker and from you guys straight to them. So if you would still like to back the entities, you can do down here at a link which will take you through to the Manchester Film Festival crowdfunding platform. It will give us a chance to test it as well, to see how it works before we then roll it and open it up to other filmmakers. So yeah, give us some feedback on it, and if you're still having to support the entities, we're massively appreciative, and you can do it just down here.
So they say they've made peace with the fact that they're not going to reach their Kickstarter goal, and the film's going to get made anyway. So if the film's going to get made anyway, why do you need money? And if you've made peace with it, why are you returning once again to crowdfunding from the people you've asked initially who decided not to back it? So they've made peace with it, but their aim is to still then reach out to the people in their community. Sorry, apologies. I'm just kind of pulling up my notes again because it goes on. So they've now made their own platform, and this platform is now on the Manchester Film Festival website. So on the festival website now, they've got their own crowdfunding platform. So now the lines are well and truly blurred. There's no doubt that they're using the Manchester Film Festival platform for them to become filmmakers, which I think is all sorts of wrong. And I'm going to just get to the website now because I just want to get to the crowdfunder page. So you scroll to the bottom and quick links. So there's the program, submit a film, crowdfund, shop, past editions, industry, FAQ. So let's go to crowdfund. And on there, they've got support independent film, back the next generation of filmmakers. Every pledge helps bring a story to life. And there we have the film that they're trying to crowdfund. However, if you scroll just a little bit further down, there's a list of official partners. So people who are partnered up with the Manchester Film Festival. It's like, did they not see the kind of how this looks like to people? Like, you've got a list of sponsors and partners, and then you've got a page on a film festival website asking the people who already pay for your film festival to now submit money, donate money so that you can make a film that is apparently your dream project, and yet you're not willing to put any money in. So, according to this crowdfunder now on the film's website, and they've raised 49% of a £2,000 goal. So I guess they've got 2,000 previously, 2,500 or whatever it was, and now they're hoping to raise 2,000. So correct me if I'm wrong, but that's 4,500 and something. I can't remember the exact number. Previously, they were trying to raise 8,000. So like that's quite a bit under what they were previously hoping to raise. So like, what's changed? Let's go to the page. Let's have a look. Bear with me. Right, so where your money goes. This is a lean, location-based film. No studio, no effects, no spectacle. Just 2 houses, a backfield, an oak tree, and the performances that bring it to life. Every pound goes directly to the screen. We also want to support the creative industries in Manchester, so we'll be paying for all of our crew living day rates. So the crew: DOP, sound recordist, AD, production design, gaffer, 3,000. Equipment: camera package, lighting, sound, already sourced production design, bottled den construction, props, set dressing, 2,000. Post-production, edit, colour grade, sound, mixed titles, 2,000. Festival submissions and DCP creation, covered what? There's no money for DCP creation. That's not on there anymore. And then covered contingency, £1,000. Total goal, 8,000. Stretch goal, 12,000. So they've clearly just copied and pasted that from Kickstarter onto a new page and not updated the fact that they're now trying to raise £2,000 instead of £8,000. It's just like it just looks super lazy. Like you've you've got a number at the top that says they're raising 2,000, and then the actual reading of it says we're trying to raise 8,000. So it's like, what's going on here? So there'll be a live Manchester premiere event open to all backers at the listen back tier and above, exactly the kind of moment the film itself is about. Songs performed live, film screened, the community that made it together. The adults in this film are too busy, too drunk, too distracted, too buried in grief to hear what's right in front of them. You're not. Back us today, share this page, and if you know a teenager who's felt unseen, unheard, or edited out of the frame, this one's for them. So they're trying to raise £2,000 now. I don't know what's happened to the £8,000 because they're now only going to be reaching 4,000 something if they meet the goal. But with 24 hours left, or over 24 hours left to go, they've raised £974 of their £2,000 goal. The issue I have, regardless of what they're like as a person one-on-one, it comes back to this simple fact that they're exploiting, or they're using their audience, an audience that's been built for one thing, and then they're trying to use it for something completely different. If you want to make your first film, your first short, go off and do it. Like last night, I went to watch this film called Blue Heron by a filmmaker called Sophie Ronvari. Now, in 2022, I did an online guest talk with Sophie Ronvari because Sophie Ronvari is a Canadian filmmaker, Toronto, I believe. She'd made a number of short films and they'd been really successful on the festival circuit. And so successful, in fact, that they got added to the Criterion channel in the US. So her short films were put on that platform, which is a huge achievement. And I asked her to do this Q&A, this guest talk. We did it online. Really engaging for the students, and she was really open about her process. But what's really interesting about Sophie Ronvari, sorry I was getting sidetracked then, what's really interesting is those early short films she was making with like minimal resources. It was kind of her, a camera, maybe one other actor. Like she appears in some of them. So there's this one called Pumpkin Movie, which she says she made for like, I think it was like $10 or something, like the 2 pumpkins, the laptop that she already owned. She put some fairy lights around, and it's about these 2 people discussing their experiences of misogyny whilst carving a pumpkin at Halloween. So like there's the idea of the monsters that are out there in the world as they're doing like Halloween related activities. great short film, and I remember when I've shown it to students, like they really responded to it. And what frustrates me, and it's the same as like um, filmmaking manifestos. When I think about when I've asked students to do filmmaking manifestos, like they seem to see the benefit of like an independent approach, but then they completely abandon it when they get to like their final film projects. They end up trying to make like Christopher Nolan's Odyssey instead of realizing that Christopher Nolan started with the following. And actually, while I'm on manifestos, like one thing that really used to frustrate me is like you'd say to students like, if you don't want to do independent filmmaking, don't. But like so many of them would just be like, moving forward, I'm going to make independent films. I'm going to do guerrilla filmmaking. I'm going to make personal films. And then like you'd watch their next film, and it was like some like rip-off heist movie in which there's like a drone flying overhead and there's like stabbings and all these things that are like big budget Hollywood filmmaking. It's like, what happened to that manifesto? Like, it shouldn't just be a case of, oh, I think Mark wants to read about guerrilla filmmaking, independent filmmaking, micro budget filmmaking, so I'll just write a manifesto that fobs him off. If you don't have intentions of following that. But with Sophie Ronvari, with Sophie Ronvari, she's now gone and made her first feature. She got some funding from the Canadian Film Board, and I believe it was about $50,000, so not a large amount of money. And she's made her first feature, which builds on themes that she's touched on previously in her filmmaking, her short filmmaking. She deserves that 50 grand, right? Like, she's put in the hours of making films on her own. She's explored her practice. She knows her voice. Like, she knows what she wants to make films about. And like, to see her film last night at home cinema, it was like incredible. It's like, yeah, good for you. Like, you thoroughly deserve this. Like, you've made a number of short films. Like, you've now been backed because you've put in the hours. And I love that. Like, give that person £50,000, because the person who can make a film with nothing can do, like, they deserve the money to then go and do something with £50,000. Like, someone asking for £12,000 having never directed a film, and then openly saying they're terrified on an email in which they're asking you to back their film. Where is it? Sorry. I'll quote it exactly. Where is it? Excuse me. Bear with me. Yeah, I'm going to be directing my first short film this summer. It's a project I'm really excited about. I'm also mildly terrified to be directing one myself. It's like, I don't think, yeah, I mean, maybe Sophie Ronvari was terrified, but I'm sure like she knew that she had experiences that she could fall back on, like what, as I described, making X. Like, even the moments where it felt like, this, I can't do this, like I've bitten off more than I can chew. Like, you calm yourself and you go, okay, what do I fall back on? Now, what this person's trying to do is they're trying to fall back on the safety of paying for a crew who's going to probably take the brunt of like the filmmaking pressures whilst they work with the actors. But it's like, it's all sorts of, the boundaries are all sorts of blurred. And I've had a number of responses because I've posted on Instagram about this, and people generally like who've responded don't think it's right. So there we go. Like, that's where we're up to with this. They're now crowdfunding through their own website. The idea that it's somehow Kickstarter's fault for being clunky and that they're going to solve the issue through their own platform, it's an excuse, isn't it? Like, Kickstarter, everyone knows what that means. If you say Kickstarter, you go, oh yeah, got you. Like, to suggest it's clunky and people haven't donated money because the fees are too high, like, pot kettle black. As of writing, so they're saying that the fees on Kickstarter are too high, which is probably why people didn't donate. Or that's what they kind of hint at. But they're going to make this film anyway, remember. So anyway, right now on their website, so we're to submit, not on their website, sorry, Film Freeway. So Film Freeway is the platform where you submit your films to festivals. On Film Freeway right now, we're at the mid-season deadline for the Manchester Film Festival. So upcoming is still the regular deadline, the extended deadline, the penultimate deadline, and the final deadline. Okay? The mid-season deadline to submit a UK narrative feature is currently £64.94. The regular deadline, £68.76. The extended deadline, £72.58. The penultimate deadline, £74.48. And the final deadline, £76 and 1p. Meanwhile, for a UK narrative short, the mid-season deadline is £42 and 2p. The regular deadline is £45.84. Extended deadline, £49.66. Penultimate deadline, £53.48. Final deadline, £57.30. Apologies if I misread any of them numbers. I'm literally reading my phone through the microphone. So my eyes are like crossing as I'm reading it. So if you meet the final deadline for a short film, you're going to pay £57.30. And you might remember in the episode on that in which I first discussed this, the Manchester Film Festival has a panel of volunteers who needed no prior experience judging these films. So you paid £57.30 to meet the final deadline, and it might sit in front of someone who doesn't know what they're looking at, because it's what Roger Ebert said last week. Do you remember when I was saying, like, in that article, Roger Ebert discussed the fact that you bring every film and everything you are to the film you're watching. There's a great quote that Filmmaker said. I can't remember who, but it was about a film called El Topo. It said, the director said, if you're great, El Topo is great. If you're limited, El Topo isn't great. Something like that. And it's that idea that you bring everything you are and everything you've seen to a film as you're viewing it. Now, if you've got a panel of volunteers made up of people with no prior experience, no like massive understanding of cinema, like what they're going to make of some of these films, and then to charge an audience, a filmmaker, £57.30 to submit a short film, and then talk about Kickstarter fees being too high. It's interesting, and it I don't know. Well, I do know it's not right, and to me it shows a complete lack of self-awareness. To put these videos out into the world in which you're saying we're at peace with it, we're okay with not meeting our goal, but then say we're going to raise them, we want you to still submit money, donate money. It's like, well, you're clearly not at peace with it, because you're not looking at other ways to do this. You're not saying, okay, I've made £2,500 from backers, that's great, I'm now going to put in the other 6,000 myself. We're going to delay till next summer. It's not that long. Like, I had that with Notion. I had to postpone it for a year, and then we came back the following year and we shot it. Like, if you really want something as a filmmaker, you can make it happen, especially given the partners and the people supporting this festival already. And maybe some people think I shouldn't call out other filmmakers, but I just think there's something about putting in your 10,000 hours first. Like this idea of the 10,000 hours that Malcolm Gladwell popularised, that to be good at something, you have to have put in 10,000 hours. And he cites people like the Beatles playing thousands of hours in Hamburg bars before they ever achieve success. And there's loads of examples throughout history. Like any athlete, they've put in the hours before they then go and try and do it on a world stage. And to just think now that, like, it's this instant gratification culture of, no, I want to do it now, and it has to be technically slick because I've been judging people based on that, and if I don't now reach that, the film's going to be a failure. Like, maybe not. Like, maybe it'll look like shit, but it'll actually be a really engaging story if you go off and make it with 500 quid. And the other thing, it's like one of the lead actors has the same surname as the director, so I'm guessing it's like, I don't know, is it their daughter, their niece? I don't know, but it's like, if you want to make family projects and cast like people from your family, I'm guessing it's a family because it's quite a distinct surname. Like, why should the public fund that? Like, has there been some transparency around the casting for this project, or have you literally just gone to a family member and then you want the public to fund that film? Interestingly, when I put that episode out, the previous episode about what went on with this festival, I put out an Instagram post and I said, happy for Manchester, I can't remember the exact wording, but I said, Manchester Film Festival, please feel free to come on the podcast. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. They saw the Instagram post alongside the other post that I put out, and they never responded. make of that what you will. I know what I make of it. Like, because if someone was saying that my methods were questionable, I'd answer it, and I have done consistently. And sometimes that's to your detriment. But I've always been of the opinion that you've got to call out things that don't sit right. And I think like part of the problem with the world now is that people are doing things and they're just getting away with it. Look at what's happened recently with FIFA. Like, they just think they can do whatever they want. And people like Donald Trump, they just think they can do what they want. Obviously, people have called them people out, Trump and head of FIFA, for their behaviour. But you've got to do it you've got to do it on smaller scale as well. Like this, people might think, oh, Mark, like, so what? It's like, no, it's not right. And it's not right to other indie filmmakers. And it's the same as why I called out the Blurred Lines critics, because some of them reviews, they were just personal attacks. And it's like, there was an anonymous review, and it was clearly a student, and I never discovered who it was. And then over the past week, they've now added a profile pic to their review, and indeed it was a student. And it was just, an attack on my teaching, on my filmmaking. Like, they claimed I stole shots from them. Just flat out bizarre, because I shot Blurred Lines in 2022, and that film, that I didn't meet this student until like 2024. So just bizarre claims. And then claimed I gave them a terrible grade or something about terrible grades. It's like I didn't even mark their work. So you've got to stand up for yourself, and you've got to defend yourself if something's not right, and even if it's not about you. And I think a lot of people don't call it out because it's like, it's that I'm all right, Jack attitude of like, well, it doesn't affect me. It's like, because I could just say, well, I'll just ignore the Manchester Film Festival. But there are still filmmakers out there who are going to use that festival as a platform for their work. And meanwhile, you've got not a film director, someone who's an aspiring film director, using that platform to try and further their own career. And the fact like they're listing film festivals as part of their budget, of where their budget's going to go, film festivals, well, one, it's going into the Manchester Film Festival for free. And then any other festival, it's like, no, like, you've got to do the right thing, and you've got to put your hand in your pocket. Like, I know a filmmaker graduated film school last summer, and they've been like ploughing their money into making a couple of short films, and then they're now ploughing money into submitting it to festivals. It's like, meanwhile, they're working in like I don't know, I guess like a regular 9-to-5 job. Like, they're doing the graft because like it means something to them, and they're trying to build their profile as a filmmaker. So I speak up for people like that filmmaker. That's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about today. Work on Notion continues, getting ever closer to the end. Me and Miranda are going to be doing a number of tests in the coming weeks, in which we're going to watch the film a bunch of times, look at various cuts, colour grades, all that stuff, where we finalise and tweak every final little bit. And it now feels very close to the end. And it feels like an achievement to be at this place. So that was episode 22. Thanks for listening.